71.05. To baseball, and Perth turned on the...
Well, it was one of the very best days in Australian racing, particularly at Flemington yesterday. Better Loosen Up versus Vogue, and a sensational finish to the Lightning Stakes. And Keith Hillier is with us once again. This Better Loosen Up. Michael Roberts just walked into the studio and described him as a street fighter. I reckon it's a pretty good term for him, don't you?
That is a good term because you can't knock him down. He gets up when he seemingly can't, Bruce. Fantastic performance yesterday. The field was small, but the theatre was fantastic. It was a great race, and people were talking about it all afternoon.
Must have reminded you, because you go back a few years now, Keith.
Thanks a lot. Good start.
Tulloch and Dawler, Geary and a few of those old horses. A small field, but a real match race as it turned out.
Yes, I've seen them on the black and white replays too, Bruce, like you. So, Tulloch and Dawler, Geary, I was in short pants.
Well, what about Big Faloo and Rainlove? You're a bit older than, weren't you?
I have to plead guilty there, yes.
That was a great race.
They were great. Look, I think now that Better Loosen Up is maybe emerging as the best horse we've seen for a couple of decades, Bruce. I think we've underestimated this horse. He has won $4.2 million in prize money, but that's no longer a measure. I think his measure was beating the best in the world in the Japan Cup. And coming back at his very next start to win over 1,600 metres first up, that's a great horse's performance, isn't it? And
a great training performance. Gee, times have changed. In the old days, you would have given him a run over 1,000 metres and then 1,200 and then got him ready for this. Things are changing training-wise, aren't they?
And in the old days, your phraseology would have been spot on, given him a run over 1,200 metres.
Exactly. I mean, he wouldn't have been quite ready, would he?
No.
But he was ready yesterday.
Oh, was he ever. And look, I'll tell you the effect that race had on people. People were congratulating the connections of Vogue for being so gallant in defeat. You know, it was great.
It was a great race. There were only 5 horses in it. Between them, they'd won $10 million in prize money. Here's the Blamey.
The Blamey Stakes turned out to be a thriller. It was a small field, but the 5 runners were all top class. Vogue, the champ, went out with a big lead. Better Loosen Up was well back on the home turn, but he put in his familiar famous finish.
As they straighten up with about 500 metres left to go, and Vogue with a long break on them, turning for home and settling down for the run-in. And the leader, Vogue, about 5 lengths to Ark Regal. Better Loosen Up down the outside, is starting to close the gap a bit. And then Kingston Rule and Coal Diesel. Vogue has still got a big break on them now with about 300 to go. He's 4 or 5 lengths to Better Loosen Up in third place. Kingston Rule followed by Ark Regal. Vogue is the leader. Better Loosen Up finishing very fast. Vogue is the leader. Better Loosen Up getting to him. Better Loosen Up is coming at Vogue. Better Loosen Up is finishing the better. He's level. Better Loosen Up hit the front. Better Loosen Up, a great run to win it. Better Loosen Up by a long neck to Vogue. 4 lengths away. Third is Kingston Rule, Ark Regal.
It was a stirring finish between 2 great horses, and Better Loosen Up must now be rated one of the great champions of the last 10 years. His trainer, David Hayes, was just wrapped in the win.
I think when Better Loosen Up, he's a very lazy horse, and when he straightened, he picked up Ark Regal. I think he thought he'd hit the front. Then he looked up and saw Vogue and had a bit of chasing to do.
Well, it was a race that was light on for runners, but it was rich in enjoyment, wasn't it?
Oh, it was all class, and it was just a classic finish. And once again, he loves it tough, and he won't get beaten in photos. Amazing.
Yes, even money for the Australian Cup, Better Loosen Up. Is that a good price, do you think?
Oh, I think you should grab it now. I think he'll run in the red. As David Hayes said in that interview too, Bruce, his collection of 6 or 7 wins on the trot now, if you add up the winning margins, it would barely total a length. So that's the bulldog tenacity or the fighting spirit that Michael Roberts talked to you about.
He did. Kingston Rule was third. Now, he won the Melbourne Cup. Is he now going to be a weight-for-age horse, do you think?
I don't think so. I think he showed yesterday that he doesn't have the acceleration. But by the same token, Bart has set him for one race, the Australian Cup, bearing in mind Bart's won that race 11 times, and on that day Kingston Rule will be a bit of a threat, yeah.
Yeah, but the even money, you reckon, Keith? I should take it.
I think you'll start odds on.
Yeah, he's a great horse. Well, we saw a very good filly yesterday in the Australian Guineas. Triscay, she thrashed the colts and now looks to have a tremendous autumn in front of her.
They're homeward bound in the Guineas now in direction. About to be tackled by the strategist, and Jude still on there on the inside. And wider on the track, Triscay is starting to unwind her run, and she's finishing on well. And down the outside from a long way back is Centro. But the filly, Triscay has taken the lead. And Triscay is the leader past the 250. She's nicely clear. Down the outside, Centro is running on solidly, but Triscay is the leader with about 150 left to go. She's a bonny filly. She's drawing right away from them. And she's got the Cadbury Australian Guineas all parcelled up Triscay. Triscay wins it. My Eagle Eye was a great run second, and tight for third. Durbridge on the outside with Centro.
I'll ask you a hard one now. How does she line up with Canning Lad, who we saw the week before over 1,400 metres at Sandown?
Oh, look, there wouldn't be much between them. She's very good, Bruce. She was the first filly to win the Australian Guineas. I appreciate that it's only been run about 5 or 6 times. But Mick Dittman thinks she's something special, and she'll give Kenny Ladd a decent sort of opposition.
And at the Oaks, do you think... We talked about this the other day. I still doubt her at the Oaks distance. Do you think she's a stay?
Well, you asked me the other day about mannerism. Did I think that she might win an Oaks? And I just said no, because that's the reason. Triscay. Triscay can win an Oaks, but she has to meet Whisk, and they've had great clashes in the past, and they're going to have more in the future because Whisk came back a winner first up in Sydney. If I had Triscay, I'd run in the AJC Derby because the fillies are better than the Colts.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's worth a lot more money. I mean, the Oaks is worth $450,000, the Derby's worth $1.5 million.
Right, and Triscay, incidentally, became Australia's most recent equine millionaire yesterday. She passed that barrier with that win.
Well, the horse that followed her up, Shaftesbury Avenue, also cracked the $1 million when he won the Lightning Stakes. This was one of the best finishes you'll ever see, wasn't it?
I think there was less than half a length separating 6 or 7 horses, Bruce. Fantastic.
Well, Bart Cummings has won this race 7 times now. Shaftesbury Avenue first up. He did a better loosen up. His last win was in the Honda Stakes over 1600. Take a look at this, the Lightning.
It's onto the course proper in the Lightning. They've got about 500 to run. Lightning Bender about a half length to Redelver. A length back along the inside to Paclani, followed by Bureaucracy. Deeper on the track then is Wraparound, Medicine Kid behind them, Burberry, Shaftesbury Avenue and Grandiose as they come down towards the 300. Lightning Bender's the leader, being tackled by Bureaucracy. Redelver is now under pressure. Wraparound is down the outside and Grandiose is finishing on pretty well. Lightning Bender's the leader. Now Bureaucracy's coming at Lightning Bend in the final stages. Lightning Bend on the inside, Bureaucracy, and flying home Shaftesbury Avenue. It's either Shaftesbury Avenue or Bureaucracy, in a tight one with Lightning Bend third.
Shaftesbury Avenue getting up in the last hop. What a ride by Jim Cassidy to thread his way through that field.
It's a fantastic ride, and that's why he's in Melbourne with Bart Cummings. It's already landed a dividend for them. I think there's more to come because I think he might go on and win the Newmarket Handicap. Bart also has won that race 7 times, Bruce, and on 2 occasions he's won the Lightning Newmarket Double.
Yeah, with maybe Mahal and Cup D'Antibes with the other 2. Just briefly, Joanne and Planet Ruler, we've seen them brilliantly win last week. Are they Shaftesbury Avenue? You rate them right up with those 2 horses?
Oh, yes. We're going to be in for another finish like that, so race callers, get ready.
It's going to be tough.
Yes.
OK, well, it was a good meeting in Sydney yesterday at Warwick Farm. Not quite as exciting as in Melbourne. The Hobartville Stakes with $100,000, the 3-year-olds, and a pre-record was the winner here.
To the straight, and Pharaoh straightened up about 2 lengths on Active Market under heavy pressure. Twiglet has now been taken out towards the middle of the track by Gavin Duffy, followed by Pre-Record and then Summer Fun and Somalia. The filly Twiglet has raced up now to grab Pharaoh. Somalia down the outside with Pre-Record. Twiglet, Pharaoh, Pre-Record, Somalia. A big finish in the Hobartville. Pre-Record hit the lead in the shadows of the post, and Pre-Record wins the Hobartville. Pre-Record beats Somalia, flashing down the outside. Dodecanese will be third.
Well, we saw him in Melbourne during the Carnival. He won a race during the Melbourne Cup Carnival and then was beaten at odds-on in the Sandown Guineas. Yes,
he's been gelded during that break, and he obviously has come back a smart sprinter, Bruce.
Yes, they're going to keep him for the Doncaster and not the Derby. So obviously Brian Mayfield-Smith thinks he's a sprinter miler.
Yes, and I think there are better horses racing in Melbourne than Sydney at present. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. I think Triscay would have won that race pretty easily.
Yes.
The Expressway Stakes was the other big weight for age race in Sydney yesterday, and this is a bit of an old gay deceiver, Potrero.
About 400 out, Alpine Queen got up on the fence to join All Archie, and they're fairly flying as they come to the corner from the Planet 2 lengths away in third place, being hard ridden, followed by Magic Gleam, Liverstone Lane, and then Ace K and Procol Harum. Into the straight again, All Archie got to the lead from Alpine Queen. They're clearer from the Planet, running on doggedly. Liverstone Lane is getting through near the fence at the 200 mark. All Archie just led. Liverstone Lane grabbing it down the outside. Potrero is coming after Liverstone Lane. Liverstone Lane in front. Potrero swamps him and got up to win. He's come from last, Potrero, to win the Expressway from Liverstone Lane, who looked all over a winner. Magic Gleam has run third. That
was a pretty good field. Liverstone Lane, who ran second, had run second in the Hong Kong Cup behind Kessam at his previous start. So we had some good efforts there first up yesterday.
Yes, and as you mentioned about Potrero, he's an enigma. He sort of wins when he's not expected to, but it was a lucky ride there for Malcolm Johnston. Shane Dye wasn't available, so Malcolm got the winning ride, and he needs a few winners. Hope there's more for you coming up, Mel.
Yeah, he's had a bad week because I think his court costs are something like $120,000 plus $120,000 in damages. I think he's up for about $250,000 following.
It's probably not our area to comment on, but it is sad when those matters come into sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I know that a lot of the jockeys are going to try and help Malcolm Johnston out.
So they should, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great rider, and it was a good ride yesterday.